So do you feel hopeful, Trevor? And how do you distinguish hope from wishful thinking?
I was going to ask you that. Um,
But I'm wondering where this
I,
question's
you
coming
know
from
what?
because yeah,
I do feel hopeful, but I also, it's a contradiction. Like everything to me is the mystery. It's like, it's meant to be a both and. Like it's meant to be a not knowing with a little k and a knowing with a big K at the same time. Like I feel like that is the essence of what it means to be alive, especially right now. It's just so rich. It's so thick. So if I'm hopeful, it's just to say that I could step back from it and say, like, it seems so obvious that the metamorphosis is underway. And at the same time, I say, and man, this is a mess. And this is a lot of suffering. And this may go r- really badly.
mhm,
And
yeah.
yet it feels somewhat oddly natural at the same time. And that's the kind of spiritual bypassing I try to be careful of, to say, like, well, it's all perfect, but a lot needs to change and action and choices need to be made. But I don't want to get locked up into, oh, I need to fight this, I need to fight this, I need to fight this. But at the same time, I feel in my heart, there's a naturalness, just as everything composts on this earth, as our brother bio, it's composting, which is stinky and gross, but it's happening. I certainly don't have the answer of, like, why I can see every little microorganism, how all these trillions of bits are going to form this whatever is coming next. But it's this endless blossoming, and it's just really thick right now and really rich.
Well, I would say authentic hope is a premonition of a possibility. It's the recognition of a beautiful future that is reaching into the present. And that's very different from wishful thinking. What inspires hope is to actually get a glimpse of what is possible. So even in the darkest times, if you witness an act of generosity, you'll feel hopeful. Why? Because that is a tendril from a future of generosity. If you witness healing, you will be hopeful. If you witness a miracle, large or small, if you experience a synchronicity, you will feel hopeful. It's amazing how quickly hope is aroused, even if you've been in despair for a long time.
Hmm.
That's because it's always there, it never dies. And that's because the possibility of a more beautiful world is also always there. It's always available for our choice because of how powerful we are. So the important thing is to validate and not dismiss those moments of hope because are they're like outcroppings of a more beautiful world in ourselves.
Learning to listen then would be be part of it, is to be open to receiving those gifts.
Yeah,
It's a kind of receptivity uh, to that beauty.
yeah, yeah. Witnessing beauty gives hope too. That's why the role of artists and musicians is so important. You know,
Oh, say that again.
even
No.
yeah, because like
What is the role of beauty in this time? Because some people would say that's a sideshow.
no, it's not a sideshow. The future is built on beauty. I like to say that it's that humanity aspires to beauty rather than height,
Hmm.
quality rather than quantity in a more beautiful world. And any act of senseless beauty is a prayer for that future. It's a declaration of this is what's important, even if I can't justify it, even if I can't, even if I'm getting no selfish benefit from it, even if I cannot explain to you how this is going to help the oppressed or help the extinguished, help the ecosystems that are being exploited, help anything. I can't explain how I'm going to do it, but I'm listening to something else within me that knows that this is important. I want to validate that because we do not know how the world actually works. The old story's view of causality is woefully insufficient to explain the things that I've experienced in my life and that many others have experienced in their life. We have to, if we want to be as powerful as we truly are, we have to open up to a much larger kind of causality that draws from the orchestrating intelligence of the whole world and that communicates to us what's important and what is ours to do through making us care about something, by making us come alive for something. So if someone says, well, Trevor, justify yourself. Here you are, the world is in crisis and you're just making music. Let's put that off until we've solved our problems. And then we can enjoy, you know? And maybe there are external voices or internal voices that come with that criticism sometimes. And maybe you cannot answer them. I don't want you to have to answer them. I want you to listen to what you love doing, regardless of whether it's useful or not. Because the mind doesn't know what's useful. You don't know what some creation of music or art or love or like you said at the beginning, like petting your cat or holding the hand of somebody as they're going through the death process. You don't know how that ripples out into the future. Sometimes you might be able to concoct a chain of events in which your humble, invisible act of love influences the future. And sometimes you might not be able to. Like, like if you spend time holding the hand of somebody who's passing, how's that going to affect the future, Trevor? They're going to be dead anyway. And that moment of forgiveness that they had in those last minutes, how is that going to affect the world? But something in us knows that it does. That's why we're attracted to it. That's why the best part of ourselves draws us to do those things. And in these times of uncertainty and despair, what else are we going to listen to when every practical plan to save the world is actually hopeless? If it's up to us and our technologies of control to save the world, it is hopeless. Therefore, we have to listen to something else if we are going to actually walk the path from here to a more beautiful world. We cannot even see the whole path. At most, we can see one or two steps in front of us. We recognize those steps. Here's what is mine to do right now. And sometimes you don't even know if you're going to land. I like to say the path will rise to meet us. You take that step and you find, oh, that there is a path after all, and that this irrational choice motivated by love and beauty and service to life actually did make a difference. And how could I have ever predicted that that would be important? That maybe that like for me sometimes like I like, oh fine, okay, I'll talk to you. I get distracted by somebody and then it turns out that was the best thing I could have done, even though it seemed inconsequential at the time to my mind. So, the mind today, for many reasons, is unreliable. Partly because of this bewildering, contradictory information environment that where different authorities don't even agree on what's real, like things separating into these different reality bubbles. Partly because of that, partly because our minds are so steeped in a Newtonian force-based causality and ideology of control, and partly just because we're human. Like the mind, it's always been unreliable by itself, and it's especially unreliable today when the elements of our reason have been corrupted. So especially today, more than any other time, we have to listen to the heart. And the mind, yeah, it needs a new logic. We need a new story that aligns with the heart. Because right now, a lot of times the mental story directly contradicts what the heart is asking us to do. So I work with the story and try to bring heart and mind into alignment. And failing that, if you have to choose, listen to the heart.
The story of the heart. Hmm.